There is a plant that grows 15 feet tall in 100 days. It produces 4 times more paper per acre than trees. It makes rope stronger than steel cable. It creates biodiesel cleaner than petroleum. And its roots repair soil so damaged that nothing else will grow. For 10,000 years it built empires. The ropes that held Columbus's ships. The paper the Declaration of Independence was written on. The canvas covering pioneer wagons crossing the American frontier. Then in 1938, they made it illegal. Not because it was dangerous, because it could not be controlled, because it threatened every industry that depended on scarcity, oil companies, timber barons, cotton plantations, pharmaceutical corporations. A plant that solves problems without permission cannot be owned, and what cannot be owned must be destroyed. This is the story of the crop that could save the world. Welcome to BioFound. Before we dive in, if these forgotten discoveries matter to you, subscribe, hit the bell, and share what you learn here. Let's begin. The year is 8000 BC. Somewhere in the mountains of Central Asia, humans discover a plant with hollow stems and serrated leaves. They pull the stalks from the ground and discover something remarkable. The outer bark separates into long fibers that do not break. They weave the fibers into rope. The rope does not rot in water. It does not snap under weight. It outlasts everything they have ever made. This is hemp, Cannabis sativa, the plant that would build civilization itself. By 2800 BC, Chinese emperors are recording it in the Pen Tizhao Qing, the world's oldest pharmacopoeia. The Emperor Shen Nung writes that hemp cures everything from gout to absent-mindedness. But the Chinese do not value it for medicine alone. They use the seeds for food. They grind them into flour that sustains armies. They press them into oil that burns in lamps. They weave the fibers into clothing that lasts generations. Nothing is wasted. Every part serves humanity. In 200 BC, a Chinese court official named Cai Lun invents paper. Not from trees, from hemp. For the next 1,500 years, every book that shapes human knowledge is written on hemp paper. Every map that charts unknown continents. Every document that defines nations. The Gutenberg Bible is hemp. The Magna Carta is hemp. The Declaration of Independence is hemp. These documents still exist today, more than 500 years later. Tree-based paper from that era has crumbled into dust. Hemp paper lasts forever. By the 1600s, European empires are built on hemp. Every sailing ship requires 60 tons of hemp rigging and hemp sails. Without hemp, there is no age of exploration. Without hemp, Columbus never reaches America. Without hemp, the British Navy never rules the seas. When European colonists arrive in Virginia in 1607, one of the first crops they plant is hemp. In 1619, the Virginia Assembly passes a law requiring every farmer to grow it. Refusing to grow hemp is a crime punishable by imprisonment. George Washington grows hemp at Mount Vernon. Thomas Jefferson grows hemp at Monticello. Benjamin Franklin starts one of America's first paper mills using hemp. Hemp is not a crop, it is infrastructure. Without it, there are no books, no ships, no ropes, no civilization as they know it. Then everything changes. In 1916, the United States Department of Agriculture publishes Bulletin 404, Hemp Herds as Paper-Making Material. The findings are revolutionary. 1 acre of hemp produces as much paper as 4.1 acres of trees. Hemp paper is stronger, requires no toxic bleach, and lasts centuries longer than tree paper. The timber industry should be obsolete, but William Randolph Hearst owns 160,000 acres of timber in Northern California. His paper mills turn those trees into newspapers for his media empire. If hemp becomes the standard paper source, his fortune collapses. Hearst needs the public to fear hemp, and he owns the newspapers to make it happen. Andrew Mellon is one of the richest men in America. He owns Mellon Bank. His bank finances DuPont Chemical Company. In 1937, DuPont patents nylon, a synthetic fiber made from petroleum. But hemp rope is stronger than nylon rope. Hemp fabric lasts longer than nylon fabric. Hemp costs less to produce. If farmers keep growing hemp, nylon fails. DuPont also patents a chemical process for making paper from wood pulp using sulfuric acid. The process generates massive profits because it requires chemicals. Hemp paper requires no chemicals. If hemp paper becomes standard, DuPont's patents become worthless. Mellon's niece is married to a man named Harry Anslinger. In 1930, Anslinger is appointed the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. His job is to create drug laws. His target is hemp. But there is a problem. Most Americans do not know what marijuana is. For thousands of years, the plant was called hemp. Everyone knows hemp, so they change the language. Overnight, hemp becomes marijuana, a foreign word, a Mexican word. And in 1937 America, anything foreign can be demonized. Hearst's newspapers launch a propaganda campaign. Headlines scream about the new drug menace. Marijuana, assassin of youth. Marijuana causes insanity. Marijuana leads to violence. The articles are filled with racist language. The stories are fabricated. The science is non-existent. But the campaign works. In 1937, Harry Anslinger testifies before Congress. He presents no scientific studies. He cites no medical research. He tells lurid stories of murders and madness supposedly caused by marijuana. The American Medical Association sends Dr. William Woodward to testify in opposition. Dr. Woodward explains that marijuana and hemp are the same plant. He explains that hemp has medical value. He explains that the Marijuana Tax Act will destroy farmers and hurt patients. Congress ignores him. On August 2, 1937, President Franklin Roosevelt signs the Marijuana Tax Act into law. Growing hemp becomes effectively impossible. Thousands of farmers who have grown hemp for generations are criminalized. They did not ban hemp because it was dangerous. They banned it because it threatened profit. Hemp was not a problem. Hemp was competition, and competition had to be eliminated. Then, on December 7, 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor. America enters World War II. Suddenly, the Navy needs rope. The Army needs parachutes. But America has a problem. For decades, the country imported hemp from the Philippines. Japan now occupies the Philippines. The supply is cut off. The government that banned hemp suddenly needs it desperately. In 1942, the United States Department of Agriculture releases a film titled Hemp for Victory. Farmers are given draft deferments if they grow hemp. The government plants 400,000 acres across the Midwest. The Navy orders 158,000 tons of hemp fiber. American soldiers' lives depend on the plant the government called dangerous 5 years earlier. Then in 1945, the war ends. The hemp fields are plowed under. The film Hemp for Victory disappears from archives. For 50 years, the government denies the film ever existed. In 1989, researchers find 2 copies in the Library of Congress archives. The film is real. The denial was a lie. The ban returns with full force. Farmers who grew hemp to support the war are arrested for growing it afterward. Hemp is useful when they need it. Hemp is illegal when you need it. Here is what they do not want you to know about hemp. The science they tried to bury. Hemp grows 15 feet tall in 100 days, faster than any crop on earth. It requires no pesticides because insects do not eat it. It requires no herbicides because it grows so dense that weeds cannot compete. It needs 1/3 the water that cotton needs. In drought conditions, hemp thrives while other crops die. 1 acre of hemp produces 3 to 6 tons of dry fiber. 1 acre of cotton produces 1 ton. Hemp fiber is 3 times stronger than cotton fiber. When wet, hemp fiber is 7 times stronger. It does not rot. It does not mold. Rope made from hemp lasts decades. Fabric made from hemp never wears out. Hemp produces 4 times more paper per acre than trees. A tree takes 20 to 50 years to mature. Hemp takes 120 days. A forest harvested for paper is gone for a generation. A hemp field is ready for harvest 3 times per year. Hemp paper is naturally brighter and requires no chlorine bleach. Tree paper requires bleach, which releases dioxins into rivers. Hemp paper requires none of that. The Declaration of Independence, written on hemp paper in 1776, still exists. Modern newspapers printed on tree paper crumble within months. Hemp produces biodiesel fuel. The seeds contain 30% oil by weight. 1 acre produces 780 liters of oil. The oil burns cleaner than petroleum diesel. It produces 80% fewer carbon emissions. Rudolf Diesel designed his engine in 1896 to run on vegetable oils, including hemp oil. He believed farmers should grow their own fuel. The petroleum industry made sure that never happened. Henry Ford built a car in 1941 made from hemp plastic. The body panels were made from hemp fiber and resin. Ford hit the car with a sledgehammer to demonstrate its strength. The hammer bounced off. The panel did not crack. The car ran on hemp ethanol. Ford believed the car of the future would be grown from the soil. He was right, but the oil industry made sure his hemp car never went into production. But the most important thing hemp does is heal the soil. Hemp roots dive 10 feet deep. They penetrate hardpan and break up compacted earth. When the plant dies, those roots decompose and leave channels in the soil. Water flows through those channels. The soil becomes alive again. Hemp pulls heavy metals from contaminated soil. In 1998, after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, scientists planted hemp in the radioactive exclusion zone. Hemp absorbed strontium and cesium from the soil. The process is called phytoremediation. Hemp cleans land that would otherwise be poisoned for generations. Industrial sites contaminated with lead. Farmland polluted with cadmium. Hemp extracts the toxins and stores them in its biomass. The contaminated plants are harvested and disposed of safely. The soil beneath is clean. Hemp also fixes nitrogen. Most crops deplete nitrogen from the soil. Farmers must add synthetic fertilizers to replace it. Those fertilizers run off into rivers and create dead zones in the ocean. Hemp is different. Hemp returns nitrogen to the soil. Studies show that crops planted after hemp yield 10 to 15% more than crops planted after corn. The soil is healthier, richer, more alive. Farmers who rotate hemp into their fields need less fertilizer. They spend less money. They produce more food. One plant, fuel, fiber, paper, plastic, building materials, food, medicine, soil restoration, independence. Everything industrial civilization claims to provide, hemp provides better. Cleaner, cheaper, without pollution, without chemicals, without dependency on corporations. And that is exactly why they made it illegal. Why is hemp still restricted in most of the world? Because hemp threatens every industry that controls the modern economy. Timber loses. 1 acre of hemp replaces 4.1 acres of forest. Paper companies spent decades lobbying to keep hemp banned. Cotton loses. Hemp fiber is stronger, requires 50% less water, and needs no pesticides. The cotton industry is worth $50 billion globally. Cotton uses 16% of the world's pesticides. Hemp eliminates the need for all of it. Oil loses. Hemp biodiesel and hemp ethanol are renewable and carbon neutral. Petroleum companies lose trillions if farmers can grow their own fuel. When Brazil tried to develop an ethanol industry in the 1980s, international oil companies crushed it. Pharmaceuticals lose. Hemp seeds contain all 9 essential amino acids. They are perfect protein. They contain omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in the ideal ratio the human body needs. 1 handful of hemp seeds provides better nutrition than most supplements. The medical applications they spent decades suppressing are now proven. CBD from hemp treats epilepsy. It reduces anxiety. It relieves chronic pain. The FDA approved the first CBD drug in 2018 after decades of denial. Plastics lose. Hemp plastic is biodegradable. It decomposes in 3 to 6 months. Petroleum plastic lasts 1,000 years. Hemp plastic is stronger than petroleum plastic. But the plastics industry is worth $600 billion. They cannot let hemp plastic become mainstream. The pattern is clear. Every solution hemp provides eliminates a $1 trillion industry. They cannot patent hemp. It has been cultivated for 10,000 years. It is in the public domain. They cannot genetically modify it to create dependency. Farmers can save seeds and replant them forever. They cannot sell chemicals for a crop that does not need chemicals. So they made it illegal. They called it dangerous. They imprisoned farmers for growing it. They buried 10,000 years of knowledge under propaganda. But the knowledge survived. In 2014, President Obama signed the Farm Bill allowing universities to conduct hemp research for the first time in 77 years. In 2018, the Hemp Farming Act passed. For the first time since 1937, American farmers could legally grow industrial hemp. Hemp contains less than 0.3% THC. It cannot get anyone high. It never could. The ban was always about industry, not safety. Thousands of farmers planted hemp. They discovered what ancient civilizations knew. Hemp grows anywhere. It requires no chemicals. By 2023, over 50,000 acres were planted in the United States. But before 1937, there were over 1 million acres. We are just beginning to remember. Universities are now studying what they were banned from studying. Colorado State University has a hemp breeding program. Cornell University studies hemp genetics. They are rediscovering what the USDA published in 1916. Hemp is superior in every measurable way. Companies are making hempcrete, a building material made from hemp herds and lime. Hempcrete is stronger than concrete. It is lighter, it insulates better, and it is carbon negative. As hempcrete cures, it absorbs CO2 from the air. Houses built with hempcrete in France in the 1980s are still standing, perfectly preserved. Fashion brands are using hemp fabric. Patagonia makes hemp clothing. Levi's makes hemp jeans. They know what the textile industry tried to bury. Hemp fabric is softer than cotton once broken in. It lasts decades. But there is resistance. Industrial hemp is legal, but regulations make it nearly impossible to profit from it. Farmers can grow hemp, but they cannot find processing mills. The infrastructure was destroyed during the ban. Banks will not lend to hemp farmers. Insurance companies will not cover hemp crops. The ban may be lifted, but the suppression continues through bureaucratic means. Climate change is here. Droughts are worsening. Soils are dying from chemical agriculture. Forests are burning. The crops that feed 8 billion people were bred for stability. That stability is ending. Industrial agriculture is failing. Hemp is the answer we already have. It survives drought. It restores depleted soil. It sequesters carbon. It produces fuel, fiber, food, medicine, paper, plastic, and building materials. One plant. Everything we need. It has been ready for 10,000 years. We just forgot. They criminalized hemp in 1938, not because it was dangerous, but because it made too many things obsolete. It made timber obsolete. It made synthetic fibers obsolete. It made petroleum fuels obsolete. It made toxic pesticides obsolete. It made corporate dependency obsolete. That was the real crime, not the plant, the independence it provided. For 81 years, the solution to so many problems was illegal. Farmers who knew how to grow it died. Mills that processed it were demolished. Knowledge that sustained humanity for 10,000 years was erased in 3 generations. But knowledge cannot be destroyed forever. It can only be suppressed. And suppression eventually fails. We did not lose hemp. It was stolen from us. By men who valued profit over people. By corporations that saw abundance as a threat. By industries that required scarcity to survive. They stole it using laws, propaganda, and fear. They told us hemp was dangerous. They told us synthetics were progress. They told us we needed them. They lied. The plant still grows. The seeds still germinate. The knowledge still waits in the ground. Every hemp plant that grows wild is evidence that they did not win. Every farmer who plants hemp today is an act of remembering. Every product made from hemp is proof that the old ways still work. Now you know, hemp is not a drug. It never was. It is infrastructure. It was the foundation of civilization for 10,000 years. It built the Roman Empire. It carried Columbus across the ocean. It clothed the pioneers. It can be that again. The question is not whether hemp works. The question is whether they will let us use it. Whether the industries that crushed it will allow it to return. Whether the systems built on scarcity can tolerate abundance. Whether we will remember or forget again. That choice is ours, not theirs. Ours. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to BioFound and hit the bell. Every like and share preserves what they tried to erase. More forgotten solutions coming soon.